Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us here today. It's really moving to see such a high number of friends, colleagues, relationships I've built up over the years. And my name's Dan Harris, as you know. I'm the CEO of Neurodiversity in Business. I wanted to start by actually saying thank you to Paul Bristow for helping host this event here today, for Quasi for his patience in waiting for us all to finish speaking just now, for Sharon, for Lisa and for Matt, and Chloe Smith as well, I think is coming later, and all the other MPs who have been so supportive and encouraging, so thank you. I'm grateful to use the word or the title of CEO, but actually that doesn't explain me terribly well. I'm a volunteer, no more than that. And all of the team are volunteers, so we are all people who are very passionate around neurodiversity. NiB is staffed entirely by volunteers, so there's no paid staff, there's no kind of financial imperative to our organisation. But we wouldn't be here for that hard work, the dedication and personal commitment of my teammates, who I'm really pleased to be able to say thank you again to today. I'm trying to get eye contact with most of them here, but thank you, you've done an amazing job. Looking forward, I want to acknowledge the enthusiasm that actually the first 100 founding members have shown to us. Global businesses whose... Sorry. Siri or Google, I don't know which one. First 100 founding members, these are global businesses whose appetite to be part of something truly special is remarkable, and it's touching to see. So again, thank you everyone for coming along today, and apologies for those who are not here today. I think we should take a moment though to reflect on actually what NiB is and why we're here. Why is it so important? Now, nationally, as a few of the speakers have alluded to already, we've made huge strides on encouraging diversity, advancing inclusion, and celebrating diversity more generally. And we should celebrate that success without losing sight, however, of the fact that there's a lot that still needs to be done. And there are groups who haven't enjoyed that measure of success over the last 20, 30 years. And we're here today to talk about that group, the neurodivergent community. The enthusiasm for this forum was so great we couldn't find the space to fit everyone in this room, so again, apologies to those people. But that concept is very familiar to members of the neurodivergent community. So representing a community where sometimes no amount of hard work or innate ability actually allows you access to the opportunities that employment that others can expect. We talked about 15 to 20% of the population being neurodivergent. According to my terrible maths, that might come up to about 13.5 million people in the UK alone. Now, sadly, we're far away from a world which neuro-inclusive workplaces are the norm. So that means those 13.5 million people, they face exclusion from rooms like this here. We should always ask, who's not in this room today? They face exclusion from rooms like this, but also employment and opportunities, regardless of their ability. I want to be clear here, the exclusion of that many people, not only from work, but also the dignity and the independence that affords, that diminishes our society and it diminishes our communities. That simply has to change, and it has to change now. So that's why I'm delighted with the universal support we've got in this room. The founder of the ND movement, the great Judy Singer, put it so well. The ND movement is a social movement at its heart. And I think, Matt, you alluded to that earlier as well. So NiB is an industry forum where for the first time global businesses are coming together to change workplaces and by implication change society. It's important to note that a neurodiverse workforce is a material commercial benefit. I think, Paul, you alluded to this earlier. I've personally sat in on dozens and dozens of meetings with large corporates who now acknowledge that neurodiversity is a competitive advantage. Matt mentioned this earlier. We know that teams with innovative perspectives or different expressions of creativity are simply more effective. I know that from my corporate experience. Most of you around this room know that as well. Now, true diversity of thought in project teams allows for better delivery to clients. And this is a key concept within the corporate world, delivery to clients. We want to deliver the best for our clients. And the differences of perspectives, these actually allow businesses to solve their most complex problems. So I see a lot of nodding faces here. It's an accepted truth, what I've just said. And yet it's sobering to reflect that the workplace that supports our best problem solvers, that doesn't actually exist yet. We've got a lot of work to do. And it doesn't start today, because the great and the good have been doing this for many years, but I'm really delighted that we are reinvigorating what we're doing. Now, we know that businesses are under more pressure than ever to do their part in the world in which they operate. And NiB is bringing businesses together to collaborate, to fully focus on the topic of neurodiversity, for their benefit, for the benefit of neurodivergent employees, and also for the benefit of society as a whole. Paul, you mentioned this earlier. For many of us in NiB, this mission is also deeply personal. Additionally, for us, NiB represents hope, not just for the aforementioned 13.5 million people, but actually for those individuals within that very large group. And Sharon, you mentioned that earlier, of course. It represents hope that our children can grow up in a world which will appreciate their talent, their hard work, and their innate potential, which currently, unfortunately, it doesn't. Most people know of my autism acceptance advocacy, driven by the world that I want my little boy, the Joshy man, to grow up in. NiB mission is to make a positive impact and celebrate those differences and the individuals within that group of 13.5 million in the UK. That's simply why we're here. So I sincerely hope that you will enjoy the speakers who follow. We have got the best of the best, and I'm really delighted at who's going to follow me in speaking now. Thank you again for joining us. It's a real pleasure. Now let's get on with the first.